Hey, we're going to do an interesting one here today. We're going to talk about where in the hell have I been and what financial tips do we have based on that, right? Because I got a lot going on right now. Unfortunately for me. So many of you, I don't know if you know, but I put my house up for sale and had 3 full price offers in day one. And then, almost everybody got sick. So it's been on me to pack and move stuff and arrange it and, do inspections or be there for the inspections, appraisals and all this stuff, title company. And I just...
So are you saying that you didn't use a realtor because you had to be there for all those different things?
I just put my house up for sale. There was no even chance to be like...
With a price far higher than you ever thought.
Way higher than I thought.
Yeah.
And so... it didn't even occur to, I just was like, hey, my house is for sale, and I had all these offers. So there was no even second for a realtor to come in and go, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll take some pictures, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to that point. And so the last 30 days or a little less has been non-freaking stop. Add to that, we sponsored Drum Corps, DCI. We sponsored their season this year. And so we now have to fulfill our obligations there and do all of that. And then, of course, we got everybody here. We got a new guy starting to take over for Mama Jazz. And so I got a flat tire, actually, just throwing that out there. So it's been one thing after another. And if I weren't the owner of the company, right, I would be taking personal days. Honestly, this would be if you're just an employee, you're I'm going to need 2 weeks off.
Is this a therapy session or is this are we going to learn something here today?
We're going to learn something here today. So what's the first thing you're going to learn? What happens if you sell your house, and this is from now experience, you sell your house and you make over the $500,000 profit on the house. You've
married filing jointly.
Or 250 if you're single.
2 years of the past 5, it was your primary residence.
Yep.
250 single filer, 500 for...
Not in a row, right?
Married filing jointly.
Just have to live there 2 years.
Yeah.
Two
consecutive
years?
2 years.
Oh, okay.
Of the last 5.
So I meet that.
That's your primary residence, I believe. I don't know. Correct me on the consecutive. I don't think it's consecutive, though. If anybody knows, let me know.
Yeah, why would they say 2 of the last 5? It's been a while since I've done it. But anyways, I meet that criteria and have a large profit thanks to some New Yorkers that want to move down here and drive up the prices. So I'm not complaining. But now, what happens if you make $700,000 or $800,000? And you're married, filing jointly, you got the $500,000 is taken care of. What do you do with the rest of it? So now what I'm doing is I'm going through and finding anything and everything that I can raise my basis on. Thankfully, this is a remodel house, right? So I replaced the roof. That was $100,000. I replaced kitchens, bathrooms. I've been doing the work along the way. Screens, pool remodel. And so what I'm trying to do is now, and I've successfully done it, is get my basis above the total profit that is above the $500,000 in this case. You're allowed to do that. And so the goal would then be that I've lowered the basis or raised the basis in the house so that I will owe no tax. Even though I can now make hopefully a lot of money if this deal goes through. That's a key. Don't just sell your primary residence and think, oh, well, it's not an investment, so I probably don't have anything I can offset gains with. Yeah, you can. And save some receipts, right?
Yeah, and so...
You went through that too, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so when you're looking at your cost basis, you're thinking of how much you paid for the house, number one. Then you're thinking through, okay, what are the additional expenses I have? Now, it's a little tricky. You pay, John the electrician over here cash, get a little bit better of a deal. You kind of want to have a receipt. You're only going to need it if you get audited. But if you do get audited, the government's going to say, how did you go over this basis of what you paid for the house?
Yep.
So you've got to figure that. Keep track of that.
Simple tip too, by the way. Nowadays, and I do this for HSA because it's not the greatest, but for your house, simple thing to do. Take a picture, start a Dropbox folder with your address on it. And it's that simple. So we did that at the time just out of habit. And every time something come in that we've done or had somebody fix, even if it was just electrical or whatever, well, you can't do everything, by the way. But any improvements to the house, you go, okay, snap a picture, it goes right in the file there. When it comes time to adjusting your basis, well, then you can go through and go, well, the plumbing, there was nothing structurally changed. I just had a leak. I can't use that, right? It has to be an improvement. And so it's super simple. And you go digging in your Dropbox folder and you're good to go. So that's tip number one.
And with that, if you do sell a house, so some people are probably watching and they're saying, well, how in the world you made $500,000 more? In Florida, if you bought a house in, let's say, 2016, 2017, your house has doubled. So if you bought a $500,000 house, I can almost assure you, based on location, it's going to probably be worth over $1 million now. It is crazy what the housing market has done. Yeah. And so that's part of it, number one. But number two is, if you do have the cost basis and you still are over, so let's just say you sold the house, you're single, and you made $280,000. Well, anything over the 250 mark, single, or 500 for married filing jointly. If you're over, that's going to be capital gains, because as long as you've held the house more than 1 year and owned it, it's a long-term investment. So then now you're looking at it as a capital gains only on the amount over the exclusion. So you can, obviously exclude, like in Dustin's case, the 500,000, but then after that, it's capital gains, which could be, depending on your income, 0, 15, or 20% are the brackets there.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride there, but at night when I'm tired and stuff, I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm not paying a penny more. In this case, not paying a penny, period. So very thankful there.
Yeah.
Tip number 2, the drum corps thing. So as a company, we decided to sponsor DCI and the summer tour there. But the way we're doing it is in a way where I'm personally paying for it so that it doesn't, hurt the company. And so how can you do that? What if you want to sponsor something or give to charity? Maybe there's something you're passionate about, a nonprofit or whatever. The real key to that right now is a donor advised fund. They used to be sort of mysterious and hard to set up, and they would charge you, like Fidelity used to charge a flat fee to do it.
Yep.
Well, now you can just do it online. We're not like promoting them. I'm not saying they're great or anything, but the real popular one is Daffy.org. And it's all basically online and self-serve. And so what you can do is you can say over the year, in our case, Drum Corps, they do their thing really publicly from like the beginning of June till mid-August. And so over the year, I want to give money and I want to help them, but that's their window of really participation. So it's like, okay, well, in January, if I've got a few bucks, I could put it in a donor advised fund and take advantage of the tax, or let's say December, right? So December of this year, I need some help on taxes. You can put in a donor advised fund, but you don't have to actually donate it until you're ready to donate. Well, that's really helpful for me because the season for Drum Corps is right now. So the fun things that I like to do where we sponsor meals and go, help them individually, now I can do that. And I already got the tax benefit of it. And by the way, donor advised funds, you can invest as well. So going through all of that, tip number 2.
Now, with the donor advised fund, though, you have to be careful to make sure that the company that you're giving to, the 501c3, qualifies with that donor advised fund. Because let's just say that you're wanting to give to your church. Well, this church may not be connected with this donor advised fund. So that is a different strategy that you've got to consider on, because some people just go to throw the money in a donor advised fund saying, oh, I'm the donor, I can guide this. Yes and no. So there's some stipulations there, and they have to be, approved. I don't know the process on the 501c3 side. I don't know if you do on making sure that they get on that list. Yeah,
actually. So, well, not as starting one as ourselves, but
right.
On the website I just mentioned, you can actually search beforehand. So before you set everything up, you can actually, the guy just going to town on that. You can actually look ahead of time. So I looked up the individual cores, I looked up the main organization, DCI, and you go, okay, great. So if I use this service, I can just send money, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, this whole process, like a kind of like a self-directed donor advised fund where you would take the money out, you would, journal that withdrawal and then go give the money. Yeah, we don't have to do that these days. It's a lot easier.
And know that, if you're giving to a donor advised fund, or any kind of charity, just making sure that you are giving over the standard deduction amount, because married filing jointly, you have the double standard deduction for each of you right now, or for a single person, you have your standard deduction that's going to come off. So if you give over that standard deduction, making sure you realize from an itemizing standpoint, what's going to happen is, let's just say that you gave away $100,000. Well, you're going to take off the standard deduction because basically you were already going to have that decreased. What is it right now? Roughly $16,000. Somebody's going to correct me. Roughly.
What, for a single person?
For a single person.
I don't know. Yeah, it was
let's just say it's $16,000. So technically you're going to get a tax break of roughly $84,000 that year on what you were giving away because you have to deduct the standard deduction. If, let's just say you gave away 10 grand, but your standard deduction is 16, well, guess what? you haven't given away enough to even cross that threshold. So there's not even a way to itemize. So just remembering that as well with what you're doing there.
And that's through this year and next year. And supposedly after the end of next year, it's going to go back to the way it was. I don't know.
Single standard deduction versus the double standard, depending. So it's called the sunset of the Tax Cut Jobs Act is what's going to happen at the end of 2025. Just some nuggets for you there.
There you go.
All right, so let me ask you a quick question. So everybody's watching. I'm going to put you on the spot right, man.
Okay.
Right now, he's not prepared for this. So once the house is sold, once you kind of level off everything, what does that look like? You know, some people have been asking, where's Dustin? Where is Dustin on the show? Because we've got YouTube, we've got the Fin Tips. On Monday, I'm on there. Friday, we do the podcast. But during the week, you were doing a little, show in the afternoons, but then also, maybe sometimes a little jazz after dark, or, what does this look like moving forward? What are your thoughts here?
I quit. No. So
on the spot.
No. So the new place that I'm going to has like a room that's like a cave kind of a thing. So I'm going to set up the camera there, and I won't have to worry about windows because there's no windows in this thing. So it'll be nice and perfect. I can sit and do my jazz after dark. And then this is going to get remodeled because when I get a little overwhelmed at the end of the night, I've been drawing out like what I want to do. This whole thing's going to get remodeled and sort of done up here. We're going hard on some of the videos. You may not like it. You guys do what you got to do over there.
Okay.
But my game's about to be stepped up.
All right.
That's all I can say.
We'll see about that. And,
last tip. Wait, I got one more tip.
One more tip.
You get a flat tire, right?
Oh, yeah. You got a flat
Cody's
tire.
got a guy. He just sits on a couch right next to this gas station. You pull up, he changes it out. On your way, man. Every time.
All right. So yesterday was the 4th, not today, but, going with that theme of the 4th. What is red, white, black, and blue?
Somebody that got beat up or something.
Uncle Sam after falling down the stairs.
Uncle Sam not falling downstairs.